welcome back to the Read Local show presented by Lit Carnivale and me, your host, Toy Thomas, author, blogger, and reading advocate. I am so excited to share today's guest with you. Virginia Acquaro Slechta, first-time author of a story about love, family, betrayal, overcoming hardships. If you're interested in the complexities of family trees, follow this author. Let's meet Virginia Slechta. Hi.
Hi, everyone.
I am so glad to have you here today. I believe I met you at a local event, just kind of was really impressed with what you had going on. So just tell people a little bit about yourself before we get into things.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad to be here. I've been looking forward to this. So I am a first-time author, never meant to be an author, just kind of happened. We can talk a little bit more about that later. I am a retired school teacher. I taught first grade for 34 years, mostly in Albemarle County, which is out in the Blue Ridge in the Charlottesville area. My husband and I moved to Virginia Beach to come back to the beach. We both grew up at the beach. And in retirement, we had more time to look into family history. And this story is the direct result of finding his family and the amazing complex story that came along with it that we had no idea of before we started looking into it.
Wow. So had this whole life and then you came home only to find out more about your family. I can't wait to dive into that more. But we are going to kind of ease into this interview. It's broken up into sections. I like to start with what I call on the bookshelf. This is where we get to know you as a reader. I personally feel like every writer at some point was a reader. So that's where we're going to start. And
Okay.
so, first question that I have is there a book that you've either reread or maybe you go back to it periodically, maybe not to read the whole thing, but is there a book that you see yourself going back to maybe over and over or time and time again?
Mm. That's a hard one. Um, it's probably the first chapter book that I remember reading as a little girl, and I have revisited it many times as a child and as an adult, and kind of got different messages from it each time. And it was Black Beauty. I was a horse lover as a teenager, and and it just intrigued me, and it made me happy, and it made me sad. And I've read it, I don't know, 5 or 6 times, trying to get my daughter to read it, but she's picked up other books.
Yeah. I remember reading Black Beauty as a young girl, and I didn't even know I liked horses until, I read a book. So
Right.
that's a good one. I can definitely see going back to that one.
Yes.
So my next reader question is there a book that you read and you didn't like it, but it's not, I don't know how to really describe because I know I've had this experience. So there are sometimes we read books that maybe challenge us a little bit. We don't really enjoy reading them, but we
Hmm.
respect them and like we're glad that we read them even though we didn't maybe like it. Is there a book like that for you?
Yeah. So and one that I've read most recently is called The Silent Hen, and it sort of mirrors my book, and that was totally unexpected. Parts of it happen in Egypt, parts of it are during war. My book is post-war, um, but I I just had a hard time getting into the book, and I had to put it down and start over, completely over, page one, put it down, start over. And I think I've come to realize that it really had nothing to do with the book, which I eventually did finish. Um, I since I wrote my book, I've become a non-reader, and I'm very shocked at that. Um, I don't know what to do with that. Okay, I'm actually part of a book club, and the last couple of books that we've read, I haven't read. I just go for the meeting part. I tried to read the what's the popular one now, the Housemaid, and it's a movie now. Um, I read about half of that, and then my daughter showed me the movie trailer, and then I put it to the side. I just couldn't read it anymore. So I don't know what's happening there. I was afraid to say that I have become a non-reader because I love reading. I love books. Um, So I don't know what to even do with that.
Well, so here's the thing. I've heard of this before where a person has been a lifelong reader and then at some point they kind of become disillusioned or, disinterested. And it's not necessarily I'm not an expert, but this is my opinion. I think that you
Yeah.
can have burnout as a reader. And sometimes
Hmm.
you kind of have to step away for a while. And then one day you will reconnect, something will click, and you'll be able to kind of ease back into it. Sometimes it's rereading a favorite book, sometimes it's trying something completely different. It's really hard to say for each person, but burnout is real. It's not just something that happens like at work or in stressful situations. I mean, things shift, you as a person change, and I think reader burnout is the thing that are not enough people talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. I was afraid to say it. Time to bring out Black Beauty again.
There you go. There you go. I like it. So, but yeah, I think I'm so glad that you said that. I think that's very relatable. I think it's is sometimes a conversation that I had recently was this idea that some writers don't read. And I don't think it's necessarily that the writers don't read anymore, but they've kind of shifted their creativity and they're focusing on writing so much that reading is something that they may have to do at another time. And I think that's okay.
Hmm. Agreed.
All right. So we've gotten to know you a little bit as a reader. And so now we're going to shift gears to what I call the open book. And this is where we get to learn a little bit about your process as a writer. I know that this is your debut that we're going to be talking about a little bit later. But before this, I know you said that writing was not something that was ever on your radar, but is there any point in time where writing was a part of your life, even if it was something as simple as, journaling or maybe doing recipes, or was writing ever part of your life before your book?
Actually, I hadn't realized until just recently, but yes. Um, Again, much to my surprise, I started writing poetry at one point. Hated poetry in English class in high school. Just couldn't wait for that chapter of the class to be done. Um, but went through something very emotional, losing a child, and that emotion um, brought me to writing poetry. That was my way of kind of um, journaling what was happening in my life, and it just came out as poems. And actually, right now, I'm trying to turn those poems into a story that would be helpful for other parents who have lost children.
I like that idea. I like that a lot. I think there's a misconception, and I'm learning this myself about poetry, is that you have to be a poet to write poetry. And
Right.
I am not a poet by any stretch of the imagination, but there are times where I want to express something emotionally, and
Hmm.
poetry is the like best way to do that.
Right.
I don't know
Yeah.
why, but
I know.
yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so for like 7 years, after our daughter died, I just journaled poems. A few of them are just letters to her, but most of them are poems. Um, and was trying to decide, like, what am I going to do next? People keep asking me, um, am I going to do another book? Is there going to be a sequel? And I was like, no, I'm not doing anything else. Wasn't this was a mistake, not a mistake, but a surprise anyway. And then I opened the drawer one day and there was the book with the journals with the poems in it. And I was like, oh, that's my next book. And so I got right to it.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear that. I mean, it's amazing when I call it welcoming, when you welcome writing into your life, what it can do.
Yeah.
I personally believe that people can write for their own self gratification and not for anyone else. But it is nice when you do write something and you feel either comfortable enough or you feel that it's important enough to like share it with other people. So
Yeah.
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 Which kind of leads me to my next question. We are going to be diving into your book here in just a moment, but just kind of knowing a little bit of what it's about. Um, is research really a big part of your writing process, and how do you go about it?
I think there are other books that have more research, but I was surprised at how much research I needed to do. Um, it starts back in the 1920s, so I had to find out like what kids ate for lunch at school in the 1920s, how they got to school, what their clothes were like, what the houses were like in different towns. Had to go, like I said before, all the way back to Egypt in the 1940s and 50s. And, I knew nothing about that. I would be typing and enjoying when I was writing and realizing, wait a minute, I need to put some details in there. I need to stop, do some research, and then come back to this with the correct information. But it kind of, when I sat down to start this, I didn't even think about the research part of it.
Right? You were just trying to tell the story.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So you would say that at least for this first book, the second one might be very different, but for this one, you kind of were writing the story and researching as you were developing the story.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I know a lot of people who with their first book that's kind of their approach. I'm really curious to see, if that approach, goes into like your next book. I know for me, the first book that I wrote, well, it was completely fiction, but it was just like this thing where I did the entire book and then went back and
Oh,
did like research and stuff. So I did things a little crazy, but that was just me.
did you find yourself changing things?
I did so a few minor things because I was writing, it was fiction, it was paranormal. And so you don't, a lot of people assume if you're doing fiction that you don't have to do any research, but you kind of do if you want it to be believable. And
Right.
so I had written this whole story and it was connecting to things that are like in the real world, but I wasn't really like acknowledging it. So I'm like, I guess I should go in and find out what does Chicago actually look like,
Right.
So yeah, I written the whole thing and then I was like, let me go back and fix this.
Right.
Yeah. So I definitely think that when you are writing, especially when it's your first time around, you're kind of finding your voice. For
Hmm.
you, finding your voice was, do you feel like it was something that just naturally came, or was it a struggle for you?
It wasn't a struggle. I don't mean to sound flippant in that,
No.
but I just sat down and it literally poured out of me. Um, I was surprised at times how it came out of me, and I didn't get writer's block or stuck at any point. I couldn't wait till the next time I was able to sit down for a couple hours at a time and put some effort into the book. It was amazing until I got to the editing part, and that I got burnt out at that point.
Okay, so now this is the big question when it comes to writers because I don't like to use a strong word like hate, but that's how I feel when it comes to editing. That is
Oh
my
my God! Thank you for saying
okay.
that.
That is my least favorite part of the process.
Yes.
It's so necessary, but I don't like it. So,
Oh,
I guess when it came to editing, like, did you do like a lot of self editing, or was it a collaboration with like an editor? How did you go about that process?
the publisher is a hybrid publisher,
Mm.
and so they would guide me, but I would do all the work. And yes, I edited probably 8, 9 times, much to their dismay because they had to keep changing things and waiting on things. But it just seemed to take forever, the editing part, you know.
Yeah.
That's when I finally stopped crying because I cried my way through writing this book. On edit number 3 or 4, no more tears.
Yeah, I can see that editing will take the tears away because you're just like, I gotta put this comma in the right place. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. Definitely that is also relatable. But I like the fact that you shared this idea of the hybrid where you're working with the publisher, kind of going back and forth. That's not a perspective that a lot of people get to hear. So thank you for that.
Yes, yes. I had no idea what I was doing, so I needed a little guidance.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I think we are ready to dive into your baby. That's what I call books because we put so much into them. So I'm
Oh
ready to
gosh.
talk about your baby. So before I ask any questions, I just want to hear from you. Tell our listeners what your book is and what it's about.
Okay. Um, and that's actually something I've struggled with because my book is about so much.
Mhm.
To meet a stranger on the street or at an event, and they ask what the book is about, to put it into a quick blurb is really hard to do. But I think I finally got it down. So what I've started saying is that the book follows the life of Buddy. It starts as a little boy, and he is put into foster care at birth. Um, he is adopted from that foster care, goes through life wondering who he was, where he's come from, always missing his foster family. Um, and as he grows, he discovers that there's lies and betrayals along the way. He finally marries and has a family of his own, but there's still something missing. And he's always wondered where he came from. And it's that part of the family tree that that he discovers much later in life.
And that idea of the family tree is where the title comes from, right?
Correct.
Tell
Yes.
tell the listeners a little bit about that. It's called Broken Branches, right?
Yes. It's
Okay.
called Broken Branches. And the branches of Buddy's little tree break um, when he's had a terrible goodbye, or a family member has dropped out of his life. And that happens with his birth mother. She gives him up at birth. She's a teenager. Um, and so the branch is broken. And then it happens again. He's in a loving foster care family. And it happens again when he's suddenly taken from them. It was very unexpected. Um, and then it happens again when he realizes that his adoptive family isn't what they said they were going to be for him. Um, and then again later in life when his marriage doesn't quite work out. And there's quite a few broken branches along the way. Um, one thing I'd like to say, can I show my cover?
Oh, absolutely. I love your cover.
So this is the cover, Broken Branches, and this is my grandson. My daughter took this picture with her iPhone. We tried with the publisher to get them to create a photo for us or create a picture for us, and they just weren't hitting the nail on the head. And my daughter was like, come on, let's go. This is actually taken out back where the place where you and I met.
Oh,
It's in the
okay.
woods back there. And and we had him um, dress in clothes that were pretty neutral to today and back then, and said, Archer, I want you to be sad. He looks at me and says, but Nanny, I don't want to be sad.
Oh.
I said, just for a minute. And so he sat out on the branches and just got to being sad. And that was one of the photos that we took. And I absolutely love that cover.
But yeah, I agree. That was one of the things that like drew me to your table that day we met was the cover, that photograph. It was just like you could just tell that there was a story there. So I think you
Yeah.
guys made
Yeah.
the right decision.
Thank you.
So now I want to talk a little bit about I'm actually reading the book now. It's been a challenge. It's good, but it's a challenge because in the beginning, and we're not going to give any spoilers, so those of you who are listening and watching, don't worry, but in the beginning, you are telling the story of that mother who has to give up her child. And
Yes.
it's a tough
It's
story
tough.
to tell.
It's tough.
So since you're the writer, I'll let you tell as much as you feel comfortable sharing without giving away, but
Yeah.
maybe explain to the readers some about why it's such a hard story to tell.
Yeah. So chapters 1 through 9, I think it is, um, have a content warning with them. The publisher asked me to add that to the book. And at first I was hesitant. Again, didn't know what I was doing, but realized that, yeah, chapters 1 through 9 needed a little bit of a heads up to my readers. There's a little bit of abuse going on. Um, this girl's mother's live-in boyfriend is abusing um, her daughter, and um, I just needed to tag that. And I don't feel like it's very explicit, but I feel like the words that I use bring the reader's imagination into the story, and then everybody pictures it on their own. So I tried not to be too explicit with my wording. I've never experienced anything like that. So I didn't know exactly how to write that part of the story. And of course, I wasn't there. There's nobody still alive who can translate what happened to this girl to me so that I could put it into the story. Um, so I had to create that part of it. Most of the story is based on um, true events, the backbone of the story. And yes, she was a teenager. She was abused by her mother's boyfriend. Um, and so many other things in the story are all based on true things that happened. I just had to create the details that went along with them. Most of the people are not around to give me the little things that you need to
Right.
build the story.
And the story, of the girl, were there like any like court documents or like things like that that helped with any of that?
Oh, I can't tell you the research that I did on both the mom, the little girl, Mary Elizabeth, and Buddy in the story. I Google when Google became a thing. I put my phone books away because that's what we used before Google,
Yeah.
and I would Google all the time any information I had about them. And with Mary Elizabeth, I would put in her name and the town that she lived in. We knew she was around the age that she was. Um, One day I decided to change the name of the town to the town right next door. And when I did that, up popped all of the newspaper articles about what happened to her.
Yeah.
And I got chills. At the same time, I had a hot flash. The hair on my arms stood up. I couldn't believe that I had found what I had been looking for. That piece of the puzzle was amazing. And so yes, there again, like I'm saying, a lot of the story is based on, as much of it as possible is based on what I found to be true.
Yeah. I
It was
definitely
incredible.
I definitely think it's a story that you can't walk into kind of haphazardly. You kind of have to, that this is what you're about to take in. I think adding the content warning was a good idea just so people would have that because it's a story worth reading. But just because my sister works with like human trafficking and stuff like so I've been around like a lot of like this. It can be very triggering for some people.
Absolutely.
So I think it's I love the fact that when I started reading it that I saw that content warning. I had to take a step back for a moment, but it was good because it helped prepare you to be able to kind of take it all in, knowing, what you're
Yeah.
about to read about. And I have to say, again, I'm not an expert here, but it was hard to read because you wrote it so well.
Oh, thank you.
So,
Thank
last question that I wanted to ask you about the book, because I know I met you at a local event. I was drawn to your table by the book and we had a nice chat. And I know that you've had some other things going on. What are some of the things that you're doing to help spread the word about this important book?
Well, of course, the social media, Facebook, Instagram, um, I guess are the two outlets that I use on social media. And I go to as many events as I can, small and large. In a couple of weeks, I'm going out to Augusta County. They have a spring expo. It's a craft fair, but I'm wiggled my way in, and I will be set up right at the door. I got a great spot. Doing fundraisers for the local um, fire and rescue coming up. Um, I've tried and have been turned down to a few of the big author events that are semi-local, but that's okay. I'm going to keep trying. I just want, I'm not trying to get famous or make $1 million. I love this story
Yeah.
and I really want people to hear this story.
You've also been connecting with like book clubs, right?
Oh, yes, that's another of my very favorite things to do because I love talking about this book. So,
Yeah.
yes, I have a book club coming up next Monday and met some winery owners at the last event that I did. And they have three different book clubs that come through their winery. And so they're hooking me up there. So, yes, anybody who has a book club that would like to talk about my book, either pre-read it before they read it or after and or during. I would love to be part of that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I could definitely see you kind of being in that book club element because you're a very personable person. And so I can see you surrounded by people sharing your story and conversing with them. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I would love that.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for allowing me and my readers to get and my listeners to get to know you as a reader, a writer, the author of Broken Branches. But I'm not done with you yet. This is where I like to shift gears a little bit. It's called Don't Judge a Book by Its Cover. And I'm going to ask you some wacky questions.
Okay.
Ready?
I guess so.
All right. So let's start with what is there are certain things where people say I'm going to die on this hill. What is one of those very simple kind of minor things that you maybe like this is the hill I'm going to die on? I'll just give you an example. Like some people the hill that they choose to die on is the toilet paper has to roll forward, not backwards. Like something as simple as that. What is
Yeah,
a hill that you're like I'm going to die on this hill?
yeah. So it's probably cleaning the baseboards around the house. I cannot stand for that little bit of dust to build up on the baseboard. And I get nagged about it all the time from my husband and my children. And I don't care. Those baseboard tops need to be cleaned.
I I can remember as a child when we would have like we would do like Saturday cleanup at our home, and my mom would be like, clean the baseboards, and I'm like, I don't even know what a baseboard is. Ain't nobody looking at the baseboards. And my mom was like, clean those baseboards. I was like, yes, ma'am.
Right?
Love it.
Love
All
your
right.
mom.
So here's another one for you. Um, let's say you are going to interview someone yourself, someone famous, dead or alive, but like you have an opportunity to sit down and get like this one-on-one intimate interview with this person. Who would that be?
I don't mean to push my book, but it would be Buddy.
Yeah.
I never did get to meet him in person, and I really want to know um, his part of the story and tell him that his children have found forgiveness.
I like that. That's definitely
Hmm.
that's noble, that's worthy. I like the answer. Very nice.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's throw another one out there. Okay. Oh, okay. So this is one that first of all, let me find out what your interests are first. So are you interested in like fantasy or science fiction, like those at all?
Not really. I do romance.
Okay, so romance. That's where
Uh-huh.
we're gonna go. We're
Uh-huh.
gonna go with romance. So
Okay.
I wanted to ask you about a trope, but I needed to figure out which way to go. Okay. So we're in the romance genre, and I'm gonna pick on maybe two tropes, whether you like them or not. You got to pick which one of these
Okay.
is gonna be the only trope that you're gonna read for the rest of your life.
Oh, okay.
Is
Oh
it gonna
gosh.
be the love triangle trope, or is it gonna be the enemies to lovers trope?
Oh, enemies to lovers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What do you love so much about the enemies to lovers trope?
Just that love-hate relationship at the beginning. Um, I think that like draws you in and keeps you there. I don't like to hurt people, so if it was a love triangle, somebody would get hurt.
That's true. That's true. Someone always gets hurt in the left. Well,
Yeah.
not always. I guess it depends on what
Do
kind of
tell.
romance you're reading. All right, what one more just for fun, and we'll
Okay.
wrap this up. So this one is kind of again, as much as you feel comfortable, I don't want you to be uncomfortable, but something embarrassing that maybe has happened and you feel like sharing, like an embarrassing moment in your life. I always offer up one for myself just so it's the going both ways. Um, which is really hard because I don't get easily embarrassed, but
Yeah.
I do remember one time I want to say I was in high school. So yeah, I was in high school and there was this guy that I, was kind of trying to flirt with, which I wasn't very good at flirting. And I literally walked into a door. Like I was walking towards him and I hit the door and I was like, "Oh,
Oh
hey,
no.
how you doing?" Trying to be like smooth, but clearly not.
Right.
So
Right.
that's my embarrassing moment.
Um, gosh, well, like you, I don't get embarrassed very easily. Can I change it to regretful?
Oh, sure.
Um, I said something in high school to someone who was a friend of mine, and I should not have said it, but I said it. And in high school, you don't know, you
Right.
just, I turned and walked away, and that was the end of our friendship.
Oh,
Um, and it made me sad, and I never forgot about it. And then Facebook brought us back together. And well, here's something embarrassing. I got her last name wrong, and I apologized to the wrong person.
oh no. That's a little embarrassing.
And then I remembered her real last name and reached out to her and apologized. And thank God she forgave me. And,
Yeah.
um, you do and say silly things when you're young.
Oh yeah.
And so much of it you wish you could take back
Yeah.
or do over.
I was gonna say it's funny because I've had that exact experience. I remember there was someone from high school that I said something to and I shouldn't have said it, and it did
Yeah.
end our friendship.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have not found her yet. And
Keep looking.
I have asked around, but I'm sure at some point, hopefully, our paths will cross just so I can, tell her, that
Yeah.
obviously I was too young, didn't know any better. Yeah, I was,
Yeah.
you know,
I didn't make any excuses. I owned every bit of it, and she accepted that, and I was so grateful.
that's wonderful. I'm glad. So slightly embarrassing moment with the other person
Yeah.
apology, but overall, a
I
happy
deserved
ending.
that, didn't I?
Yeah. Yeah.
I got my comeuppance.
Yep. All right. So we have come to the end. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with me and my listeners today.
Yes,
Um,
my pleasure.
yes, I am definitely gonna I look forward to finishing this book and, possibly getting the next one whenever, that one's out. So,
Okay.
before we sign off, I just want to remind our listeners that Virginia does have a special reading for the paid subscribers. If you are interested in being a paid subscriber, you can visit litcarnivale.substack.com to learn more. And Virginia, go ahead and just tell everyone where they can find you online. So if they want to connect with
Mhm.
you.
So just look up Facebook, and author Virginia Acquaro Slechta. I know that's a lot. It's right there in the picture.
Mhm.
And if you look it up that way, you'll find me.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So, everyone, until next time, stay safe, be blessed, and have fun reading.
Bye bye, everyone. Thank you.
Read Local Show, Season 3, Episode 2, starring Toy Thomas, featuring Virginia Acquaro Selecta. Produced by Toy Thomas in association with the Toy Box Awards and Lit Carnivale. Directed by Toynet Toy Thomas. Read Local Show logo designed and trademarked by Lit Carnivale and Toy Thomas. Intro sequence designed by Toy Thomas with the use of royalty-free images sourced from Pexels.com, as well as a featured guest image. Intro music, Sunset Dream by Chill, royalty-free. Images provided by Virginia Acquaro Selecta. Toy Thomas, Lit Carnivale, nor the Toy Box Awards claims any rights to images or video content provided. Bookish design advertisement provided by Toy Thomas. This episode contains copyrighted material, affiliate links and references, and trademarked images and merchandise. Please visit our website to learn more at https://litcarnivale.substack.com. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thanks to the Lit Carnivale Read Local Show community at Substack, YouTube, and wherever you can hear this podcast. Have fun reading!